There's only two ways to grow the business. Number one, get more customers. Number two, lose less customers. So in the next snippet, we're going to jump over to, I'm going to share with you a training that I did with our $1 Million Advisor Club members, which are our highest level mastermind that pay us anywhere from $5,000 a month or more. And I'm going to share with you the exact training I do with them on churn, which is the customer losing ratio, and how that relates to your business cap, getting customers, how to get more customers, and how to influence your business so that it can scale past the little breakpoints that you're going to hit. And so, for context, some of these things here are going to probably go over a lot of y'all's heads watching this, and that's okay. Eventually, you're going to graduate to this point where you think like this, and this video is made for you. When you're ready to scale, these are the things that you should be thinking about, because these are the thoughts that the business owners like us, scaling a couple $1 million a year or more in business, this is what we look through. This is the lens we look through. And so with that being said, let's jump right over now.
When it comes to churn, guys, as you scale your business, there's only two variables, and I'm going to go through it a little bit here in a minute, but there's only two things that are going to cause a big influx in your business. Number one, new client acquisition. And number two is churn, which is the client leaving rate. Okay. And so those are the only two factors that can exponentially scale your business or cap your business. All right. And these are some, like I said, these are very, very high level talks that I'm going to be sharing with you guys that are going to help you scale at the next level. This is far beyond, oh, how do I do an ad? This is far beyond what tax strategy. This goes way beyond that. This is business infrastructure to scale. And this is what we're using to scale ours to, multiple 8-figure, even $100 million a year business. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to accomplish that within the next 5 years to get to $100 million a year in revenue. And so this is how we're approaching things. And to understand these concepts is very, very important so that you can scale and not hit a cap. Because at every level of your business, there's going to be called what's called a business cap or a scaling cap or a bottleneck or whatever you want to call it. Churn is not good. Churn is bad. Jamari said churn is so good. Churn is bad. You guys don't want churn. You guys don't want what's called attrition. Okay. And so the more and more you scale, the more and more attrition starts to eat away at your numbers, and it causes harder and harder and harder to grow and scale. All right. And so I'm going to walk you through a formula I created, and also to give you a hypothetical situation of how your businesses hit a cap and then go to the next level. Okay. And I'm going to help you identify, number one, where your business will cap so you can break through, where you need to focus so you can break through, and then also what your average customer lifetime value is. It's very important, because if you don't know how much your customer is worth to you, then you don't know how much you can spend to acquire one. The way I looked at when I was looking at business verticals to go down, accounting book, this space right here has the lowest churn of all industries. I don't know if you know that, but of all industries, this is the one business where people stay and pay forever. Don't know if you knew that, but if you look across the verticals, as far as, because you guys are like, it's essential. And that's what gets me so excited, because you have the lowest churn and you have pretty much probably the highest margins. In terms of the financial industry, this is probably the best part of the financial industry where you guys are at. So now let's talk about business churn, and let's talk about client acquisition. What I did is I created a formula for you guys to identify for yourself, to understand your lifetime value of your customer, hypothetically, your business cap, meaning where your business is going to go and scale until it stops, where churn is going to start taking away more of the revenue and it's going to start tapering off. So you guys have seen that. I don't know what it's called, but the chart that goes, like, when you're a startup, it goes up and then it tapers off and then it dips back down. It's called something. Do you guys know what that's called? There's like a phrase that they use in the big, where they talk about this. But anyway, so when startups, what is it called?
Diminishing returns.
Yeah, it's called diminishing returns, right? But they call it something, that little bell curve look on a business.
Inverted, is it?
Marginal utility.
Yes. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But anyways, there's a curve in
marginal utility.
Okay, so in business, right, there's a startup phase, and then there's kind of a maintain phase, and then there's a phase where the product or service starts to taper down. You guys have seen that across the board, right?
It happens in every industry.
It happens in every business, everywhere, all the time. And so why does that happen? Well, again, there's a couple of variables, right? The market gets saturated. The people start taking over more of the market share. It becomes new until it's not. Kind of like Apple, when they threw out the iPhone, it went really good, and then it started to maintain, and then it started to taper off when Android and all those other things started to take over some of the market share. Does that make sense? So you guys will experience that to some extent. So the point that I'm trying to say here is we want to help accelerants, meaning your startup, to keep as far as startup as we can and maintain at the higher level we can until the point where it starts getting that little diminishing return. We want to put off diminishing return to as far out into the future as possible. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so the way that we do that is through one, new business acquisitions, and number two is through reducing churn. Now, as you scale up, your churn will naturally scale with it. You guys probably have a really low churn. It's because you don't have enough customers yet. When you have enough customers, churn will eat more away at your business. Okay. And so there's three kind of things that you do. Number one, it's the business cap, where your business is going to cap out at. Number two, it's the lifetime value. Number three, it's the client sales velocity, meaning how much clients come in versus how many leave. So this will help you identify that. And I created a formula for you. And well, there's a couple ways to influence churn as well. So churn is when a client leaves you. So if a client leaves from one product to another, it's not considered churn. Does that make sense? So because someone went from tax prep to bookkeeping, they're not churned on tax. They're not churned from your company. Maybe they churned from the product, but it didn't churn from the company. Does that make sense? So it gets a little bit like a little more technical, but churn by its definition is if they leave you. But if they leave one product for another inside your company, it's not considered churn. You with me? And that's why it's good at scale to have multiple different products that align with each other so you can keep them staying and paying forever. Right? And that's why Starbucks has such a high lifetime value, because you come in for the coffee, but you stay for the cups, you stay for the little cookies, you stay for the chips and all the little fancy stuff. And now it becomes its own little lifetime value growth. Okay? So the formula I built here is for you guys. And so whatever time frame, however you want to create churn, it's just a snapshot of your business through whatever frame of reference you want to use. So for an example, some of you guys use the 12 months, some of you can use the 6 months, some of you can use the 3 months, and some of you are just starting, so you're like, I don't even know how to calculate this. That's okay. So let's assume for a second, let's use a 12-month churn ratio. The further out you can have the data, the better the data will be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Meaning, like, if I can look back 3 years of your company, who started 3 years ago and who's here today, I'll have a better understanding of this number here. Okay. And so we're going to use a 12-month time frame. So let's just use, for hypothetical numbers. By the way, I'm going to show you guys how to use this little formula here, and then you guys can use it. So let's say, for an example, I'll start with, and so I did this so I can understand from my perspective what your average client per year is worth to you, which also will tell you how much your average client is worth per month to you. So this can also help you determine how many employees you can use to service each customer. So for an example, if I have one employee servicing 50 people and I'm generating 3 times 50, right? 300. Let's just use the simple math here. So let's assume I have one employee and they're managing 50 people. So we're going to go equals 2 per month times 50. So they're managing $18,000 a month. Now, if I pay this person $6,000 a month, guess how much profit I'm making?
50% now.
Okay, I'm making $12,000 of profit from that person per month. Now, that's not including obviously offices and all that extra additional stuff, but just from the client retention part, or meaning how much money am I making per person? I'm making $12,000 off this one person per month, and they're getting paid $6,000 a month, which is about $70,000 a year. Now, if I push this number up, meaning I get this average client per month to $500, well, then things change a lot, right? So let's say, for an example, I got 250 clients. Now, this one person is making me $30,000 of roughly pretty much net profit per month because I don't have to fulfill. This also can help you identify, okay, well, if I'm helping their clients and they're helping their clients, then I'm actually reducing the profit margins. So let's use yours for an example. You started with 12 months ago, you started with how many clients?
256.
Okay, 256. Okay. And then how many clients did you lose from till September 30th?
So we probably picked up 20 clients, and we're at 230 right now, so 46.
So 46. Okay. So your churn is actually 18%.
Okay.
See how I came up with that? 256 clients lost. You're at 236, which means 20, you said 20 clients added?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 18%.
Okay.
Which I understand because you had a blip in, personnel. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But if you look back again, this is why you want to use as much data as you can, because probably the year before your churn rate was 5.
No, it's been very bad the last 3 years. That's why we're bringing wages back to the US.
Makes sense. Okay, cool. So this is actually where you start to hit your top line, meaning your business cap. Okay. And so what I mean by that is for a moment here, I'll just work with me still. Okay. New clients added 20 clients, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about your revenues here. Are these accurate numbers here? Help me update these numbers because this will help me a lot.
The tax prep is that's
High?
too overstated. Yeah, for us.
600?
I mean, we have 230 clients, and then they have sister companies. It's like
You don't
more
split it
than
up?
400,000 at the most. We
Okay,
don't
so
make that much money on taxes.
okay.
Payroll, we have times 12. That's 250,000 a year.
250. Okay. So I hope you guys are seeing how you can use this as well, because a lot of you have multiple different products and you just have to find out what the percentage of revenue each product gives you so you can determine where your focus goes. Also,
We
tax
don't have
planning.
financial products, and then tax planning. We never really did it before you guys, so I don't know
Yeah,
how you would count that.
you still put it in there because it's still part
Okay.
of your revenue this year.
Okay, so far we're like at about 200,000.
You're not.
Yeah, we are.
Girl, what? You made more?
Yeah.
The
I
freak?
sold a plant today. I sold one yesterday.
Golly. Congratulations, man. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
When I look at that, yes, she has an 18% turn, but she's bringing on more profitable clients for the ones she's bringing in for dollars, I think, the way I would.
Correct. Correct. Because this average revenue per client goes up, which can mitigate the loss that you have, right? Because if your average revenue, let's say your churn stays high, like low, but your average revenue per client is $5,000. Well, you doubled your profits because you cut off 18% of those people. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways, you double the amount of money you make with less people.
That's
Okay.
what I've been going through the last
Yep.
3 years.
Yep. And what happens is you can't sustain this at long term though, meaning that 18% drop off, it needs to be fixed before we try to scale this thing even further. Okay. And I'll explain it to you a little bit more, but do you see it so far? We're good?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you really share this worksheet with us?
Yes. Yes. You guys are going to see it. You guys are going to have it. And then miscellaneous, how much, like not
That's
bookkeeping.
very right on. Yeah, that's
Okay.
very right on. That's like extra stuff.
Okay. Total client serviced. Was it 250 or is it 236?
I mean, right now it's 230.
230. Okay. Okay. So actually your average revenue per client is 950, right? So $9,000 per year per client, which is pretty good. It's really good, actually.
But how do you factor in the fact that like it's not really just 230 because we had the ins and outs, you know, the 20 new ones, and then they dropped, and so it was like we
Well,
had to touch a lot more clients.
yeah. So what you do is that's why you do total number of customers minus the people that you've lost plus the people you've added. So we'll do that, and that gives you the true number. Because if you worked with anybody, you have that. That's part of this new clients added, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the number should be good. The number should not be incorrect. So come out to the same number if you factor all those things in. There you go. See? So you told me that you started with 256, you lost 246, and then you gained 20.
Yeah.
So then your actual number is 230, right? So that's
Yes,
already
that's
all factored in. That's how you factor in the people leaving versus the people staying. That formula already created for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now you're servicing about $800 per client per month between all your business. I mean, between all your service lines. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Which means this, check this out. This is where you're going to have the biggest influences on the things that you're going to do. So right now, remember I told you about the LTV? Your average client pays you $4,446. Why? Because of the churn percentage. Which means this. So if you're servicing $797 per month and your lifetime value is $4,436 for the lifetime of that customer, then that means that your clients stay with you on average 5.5 months, 5.5 months.
Something's wrong with that, because if I'm getting 9,000 per year, the lifetime shouldn't be half of 9,000. It should be, well, I guess if it's only 5 months, I guess you're right. Okay.
Well, it's the churn also. So this
Yeah, okay.
this is not factored in. This is the amount of revenue she's making top line to begin with, but it
Yeah.
doesn't, this part does, just part right here just determines the average revenue. This part
Yeah.
right here determines the business. Does that make sense? So now down here does not factor in churn. Up here does.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Yeah,
then
so that's
they
how that comes
actually
up.
stay here for years. I mean, that some are clients for 10 years, some are, I mean,
This
it's
is, again, this is a snapshot of a year. If they stay with you for 10 years, you would have given me 10 years worth of data, but you only give me
Oh,
the year,
okay.
and that's okay. But
right.
it
Yeah,
just
that makes
depends on the
sense.
snapshot that you're sending me. So if some of them stay with you 10 years, that's totally fine. But this is a snapshot, and this is a good indication of your business, actually. Because if some of them stayed with you for an entire 10 years, what changed in the last 5? Or what changed in the last 3? Does that make sense?
I
So,
know
and
what
this is a good indication of like future scale. Okay. Which means this, if nothing changes, Maribel, your business cap, meaning the amount of clients that you keep per year, is going to be 111. Meaning you're going to have to start counting heads and saying, hey, I might not be able to support all of my employees anymore, which you probably already started to think about. See what I mean? And the reason why that cap is there is because the churn rate starts eating away because of these two influences. You're not adding enough people as you are losing. Does that make sense? You're losing more than you're getting, which if you extrapolate it to a long enough time horizon, what's going to happen, it's going to taper and tap back down. So let's play with the numbers for a second so you guys can understand how these are the top 2 numbers that influence everything else. Just these 2 numbers, which is great to hear. Because guess what? So if I change this, let's say Maribel, instead of losing 46 people, she loses 20 people. Look at her business cap and look at how her business capacity goes now. 256. See that? And your clients stay with you for an average of 12.8 months. See how churn makes that much of a difference?
That's eye-opening because I took wages to offshore to save money. But when you look at this and the reality of the last 3 years, we have lost 50 clients every year. So we have lost like easily 150 clients since we went offshore. So, but when you look at this, you're like, you know what? It's actually a lot more expensive to go offshore. We need to bring it back.
Yeah, this is why they tell you guys don't go cheap because it's more costly in the long run.
Yes.
So this is why they say that, not because we're so like we're like so how do you say it? And it's just not just you, Maribel. We think the same things too. We're like, how can we cut cost? Well, let's take off some payroll. Let's have some people spread thin. But in reality, you don't see how it affects the whole overarching part of the business. When you spread people too thin, you don't pay them enough and they can't grow. Well, guess what? It starts to show up in your churn. And then you have to be so good at marketing because you're not very good at keeping customers. Oh, hear that? Which means this is why some of you guys are here, is because you're not good at marketing, but you're great at keeping customers. Now we're going to teach you the other part, how to get good at, we face it the opposite way. We're good at creating marketing, but not very good at keeping customers, which is why we know how to do this, but we're working on this. See what I mean? So a lot of you guys came from the different perspective, and that's why it's good. So anyways, I show you this to give you that eye-opening concept for not only you, but Ralph, you too. Like, let's say the churn stays the same. You'll see how even if I double your amount of clients added, it doesn't really change that much. Your business cap doesn't really, like, you don't get that many more customers, right? But if I change the churn by half, so 23, it changes everything. Meaning my average lifetime value of a customer goes up.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully this gives you guys some insights as well that tells you this. It should tell you this, Maribel. If I don't fix the churn, doesn't matter how many new clients I get, I'm always going to have a leaky bucket. Right? And the churn could be influenced by the people you have. So for an example, our CS team is here to reduce our churn because our churn was about 17% as well. And my number one focus was, if I can, in this particular company, I said, if I can take my churn from 6 months of 17% to 8%, I double the amount of value that I get for the customer company. And then I can go back to the front and just put liquid fuel on this thing and turn this fire into like a blazing like wildfire, right? Because if churn stays the same, but I just influence more customers. Now let's do the same thing. Let's do double. Let's do for a second. Let's half this. Let's lose less customers, right? 23. And let's double the amount of customers we get. So this is the best scenario. Sorry, what was that number? Yeah, 20. Okay, so I lost less customers and I add more customers. Okay, so now my business cap is 445 people. Do you see how that works now? So now my business will cap at 445 customers rather than 256. Okay, and it's just a simple math equation. Which one do I want to tackle first? And that's how you approach this. Okay.
Which one should you tackle first then? In my
a churn for sure.
Okay.
Churn. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go for sure churn, because the customers, I wouldn't. So this goes without saying. Don't stop getting customers to fix your churn. You fix them simultaneously. But the focus goes from your attention should be on, if I have to give you like priorities, it's make sure that the client getting system is there, but just so much so that I can focus on churn. So for an example, for us, we're not going up. We haven't been scaling up in revenue for the last, scaling up in customers from the last 3 months, because I've been busy trying to fix our churn so that when our churn is fixed, I can go back to the front and scale that sucker to the moon. Does that make sense?
Which means operations, right?
So
you're
yeah,
going-
you have to kind of like just keep the water flowing just long enough so that the pipes don't get hard. And you have to do it again. So it's kind of like an ebbs and flow for this thing. Does that make sense, Maribel? Ralph, are you getting something from here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Perfect. All right, Frank, you with me? Anthony, you with me? Is this making sense? Perfect. I'm going to share this with you. Camille, you with me? Remember, I told you this is the next level stuff. I can't talk to the other group about this, but I can talk to this with you guys. So Camille, let's go through your numbers really quickly. Maribel, you good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Camille, you there? Let's go
Yes,
through your
I'm
numbers
here.
real quick. Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool.
have, I'm not in my office, but at least I got the ones for the taxes, personal taxes. I have
Yep.
those numbers.
Yep. Tax prep, how much?
From January to September, 413,985.
Okay.
413,985.
Okay. 413. We'll just do 413. Bookkeeping. Do you have any bookkeeping revenue?
I do, but I think so far is 165. We don't have a lot of clients on bookkeeping.
165,000?
Mhm.
Okay. Payroll, how much?
I don't have that number.
Do you have any
I do
customers on payroll?
have, but yes, I do. But it's not much. So
50 grand, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Tax planning,
so far 25. Well,
25K.
Mhm.
Okay. We'll use that. Miscellaneous, anything else that's not included on these top 4 or 5?
yes, I
What?
have other services. So
Which of those?
on that one will be like 85.
Okay. 85K. Okay. Okay, cool. Does that look about close to your revenue?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. How many clients did you start with?
Okay, I only had the clients for taxes. Okay, so it will
Yeah, that's fine.
be we started with 135.
Okay. How many clients did you lose?
Well, I have the ones that I have at the moment is 2,305. That's the one that I have now. Like we ended up at the same time.
So you didn't lose any customers?
Yes,
You actually gained?
we gain. Yeah, that's the part that I'm losing because I'm waiting for my client, my manager to send me the full report. She sent me the one that we had last year, and she sent me the one that we have at the moment. I'm waiting
it.
for to be the middle number. But
Oh,
I
wait, you
know
started-
that the rate that we lost was 3.6.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay. So,
I know for sure that. So,
okay, cool. So what's your clients right now that you're supporting? How many clients?
2,305. 2,305.
Okay, so you started
That's
at
the number that
2,000,
we have now.
but you started at 2135.
Yes.
Okay,
We
so that's how you do
gained
it.
and we lost, you know?
That's okay. I'll show you how to do the math.
Yeah.
So you equal to 2,305 minus this is the amount of clients that you gained.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the amount of clients you gained, which means the amount of clients you lost. I mean, I guess it depends, right? We could just leave that at, let's just put it at 50. Well, you said 3.6%, right? So equal to this times 0.036. You lost 76 clients.
Yeah.
Sound about right?
Yeah, if it's 3.6, that's right.
Yeah, well, come on. Y'all think I don't know my numbers? Come on. Give me you. Let's see this. Hold on. Equal to
The
this.
NCPA, the NCPA.
Yeah. All right. So is this right? 0.036, is that right, guys?
Mhm.
That's 3%, right? 3.6%?
Mhm.
Okay, so you lost 76.
Yeah.
Is that math? Am I mathing correctly, Ralph?
No, it sounds pretty close. I mean, we're trying to
Anthony?
get close.
Am I right with the math there?
Well, 3% would be 60 plus 0.6. I think you're close without
Mhm.
doing it.
Okay, cool.
I'm just using round numbers.
Yeah, so there you go. So then your churn percentage is 4%, right? 3.6%. Your average lifetime value. This means that your average client will stay with you 28 months, which means
Okay.
your business cap, it's going to double. If you keep doing this path here, Camille, it's going to double, which is great news for you. However, look at the big challenge here.
I know.
So your
Okay,
churn
my-
is amazing,
Yeah.
but you're overworked and underpaid. See that?
Yes.
So you should be shooting for a higher churn rate in your case, because if you increase the revenue, you're going to increase the churn rate as well. So
Mhm.
maybe for the next 2 years or the next year and a half, you should be shooting for a higher churn rate because of the increase in in price.
Mhm.
Because at this point right here, $27 per client that you're earning per year, per month,
Yeah.
it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Which is why you're still stuck in the business and you can't get out of it, because you
Yep.
can't hire someone at this.
Yep.
Because even if they're managing, let's just say hypothetically, this times each person can maybe handle 250 people, maybe 250 tax returns.
But let me say something. The annual revenue is total. The numbers on the top is only for taxes.
The numbers.
The total number that I give you on the top is just only income tax, individual income taxes.
Right, but this is the overall business.
Yeah.
So this
but
is the so the math still equals out to the same because the overall business does this and your total clients does that. The overall total would still be the same. The
Okay.
overall totals here, this right here is factoring in tax prep plus all the additional services.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It probably, I mean, if it's more customers, it's actually worse. If it's more than 2,135, it's actually worse.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So that right there, this will be a hypothetical. Okay, cool. I can share this with you guys and then you guys can come back to this. But now this formula here for you is to give you some hypothetical numbers because I do want to share with you how to break through. So there's two things that you want to focus on, which is churn and new client acquisition. So I'm going to talk you through those two things right now, okay, for the next 10 minutes. I will give this to you guys. Okay, so how to break through with your business scaling numbers. So what I shared with you before, remember I told you about the cap? When I told you the cap goes like this. So you're going to scale to a point where you can't scale anymore. Anthony, where you guys are going up. And what's going to happen is things are going to go like this. And then at some point, churn's going to eat out more of the revenue. And then it's just going to stop. And it's going to feel uncomfortable right here because this is a break point where you're not going to push past it unless you fix two of the equations, which is reducing churn or increasing the amount of clients you get per month or per year. Does that make sense? So this is why it feels so uncomfortable right up here at the top, because you're starting to feel that cap hitting the top, the ceiling. And the only ways to break through the ceiling, like I mentioned before, is through what? You guys remember the two things? How do I break through this cap right here? You guys remember?
Stop the churn.
Stop the churn, or?
Well, I think you have to have operational control.
Yeah, so you stop the churn, then you increase the amount of clients. In what order depends on where you're at. So right now, Camille, as you can see, her business cap isn't there yet, but her customer value is really low. So her goal should be increase churn through increasing revenue, increasing average client revenue, so that she can have the revenue to hire someone so that she can go back and fix the problems. Okay. And that's the first step. Okay. So hypothetically, when your churn goes down, when you focus on churn to help it go down, then your business breaks through at a different cap. Okay. So this is what your business would look like when you break through that first bottleneck or that first sticking point. So in the first scenario, that's that blue line here, your business will cap here. Now at a different churn, like your churn goes in a third or 3x lower your churn, then you 3x your revenue, you 3x your potential now. Does this make sense? Yep. This is why it's important to have like, a success team, like a team behind, like one of those the team that focuses on retaining clients at that point. Okay. And then if your client acquisition goes up, this is what you use. Okay. Now, if you go through, this is your original business cap, Camille, Ralph, Anthony, Zach, all of you guys here, your original business cap is right here. But when you fix the churn, it goes to the screen. When you fix the churn and you fix the client acquisition thing, your business cap goes at the top. Okay. Does that make sense? How it moves faster up to a different bottom, up to a different stick point. And that's how you scale the business. It's really only, how do I go from here to here? Lower churn. How do I go from here to here? Increase customers now because I have the churn fixed. You guys feel me? This is what Netflix, this is what Amazon, this is all they focus on all the time. Is how do I get to this next business cap up here? How do I take this next one up here? And then if you notice, they increase the price so they can have a higher valuation, which increases the churn, which pushes them back here. And then they have to go back up the cycle again. Did you guys notice that? That Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of them increased their prices recently, which is going to increase the amount of churn, which is the amount of clients that leave. But then they stabilize for a year or two, and then they go back up, which means they can take up more market share. Okay, cool. All right, so how do you lower churn? This is the way to lower churn. She has that nice little thing in the back. Okay, number one, improve the customer experience. So customer support, follow up, regular check-ins, make sure that they're staying in pain. Now, you guys have a lot of those things already, so I don't have to really tell you about lowering churn because you fixed the churn thing. Loyalty programs. I know Anthony and Zach, you guys have an amazing loyalty program, and I actually want to share that in the future trainings. I'd like to talk about that, how you guys introduce loyalty programs. We have some, but it sounds like you guys have a cool referral business. We don't have a really cool referral business. So long-term retention, loyalty programs, increase engagement. So if you guys want to lower churn, by the way, have events for your clients. I can't even tell you how it improves customer stick rate. Okay, I'll tell you, for us, having a event, like a live event where they can all congregate, helps churn tremendously because they stay for the community. They come for the result, but they stay for the community. Very, very, really big thing that we did that helped us tremendously. increase engagement. So that could be like, for an example, why do you think we host so many events? Because we know that you guys together is better than us by ourselves. Right? This is why Anthony, you and Amit and Ralph are on all the different, all of the platforms, because you guys like to be together in everything you do. And so why wouldn't your customers want to do the same? They do.
Good point.
They do. Okay. And then upsells or cross sells. Remember I told you about lowering churn means that they're not leaving your business. So unless you guys are already doing $1 million a year, I wouldn't introduce multiple products. The reason why is because it's a distraction and it does take away from the main thing. Once you get to $1 million plus, then you can either go deeper, meaning like give them more of the same, or give them different. Okay, does that make sense? That's how you improve that. So for an example, if I'm giving them bookkeeping, maybe I can give them more calls on bookkeeping and increase the monthly revenue, or in this case, add tax planning on the top and increase overall client lifetime value of that customer. Okay, or if they're on bookkeeping, maybe I can push them into tax prep. Or if they're in tax prep, can I take them over to bookkeeping? Can I take them over to tax planning? Can I take them over to a financial product? Like I know that Frank has his like that, where he takes his clients from accounting bookkeeping, puts them in financial products. The place in between that, Frank, is you take them from bookkeeping to tax planning, then to financial products, and you increase the overall client lifetime value. And that's how you take a client from $10,000 a year to $20,000 to $50,000 a year. Okay, and that gives you more aggressiveness when you go to the marketplace and you try to spend money on advertising to take up more market share. Okay, how to increase client acquisition? These are the 4 things or 5 things that we've identified. Number 1, paid ads. Okay, paid ads. That's our core thesis here at our company is paid advertising, because you can move as fast as humanly possible to scale this thing. This is the biggest needle mover, in my opinion. There's not even a debate on this. If you can spend more than anybody else, you win. That's it. So that's why our core thesis is run paid ads to get as many customers as you can, while building up marketing, organic marketing, like posting, like SEO, all those things in the back end, so that it influences your paid ads. Because if they see you across all platforms and then they see your ad, it's going to make your ad work better. Does that make sense? So like, for example, you guys probably saw an ad of David, then you looked at his profile and you're like, oh shoot, he's a lot over here. Then you look for YouTube and you saw him on YouTube and he's like, oh my goodness, he's over here. So the next time you saw him on an ad, you're like, let me click on that thing, because now your trust has been built through multiple different places. Okay, and that's how your advertising costs go down over time as you build up organic. Cold outreach, for me, this is the most predictable one that I had ever built. Why? Because you just need bodies. Like you just need bodies. Meaning, when I was doing cold outreach, I had 28 people sending out 100 DMs per day. And they would get predictable amount of responses. Those responses turn into a predictable amount of calls. Those calls turn into predictable amount of closes. And all I had to do was increase the amount of people I had. Because on advertising, the reach is guaranteed, but sometimes it gets a little more expensive as you go up. With cold outreach, it doesn't get more expensive. Just the payroll goes up because you're buying more people. Does that make sense? And there's a place for each one of these. Cold outreach really will have an influence on your on the ability to sell your business. Meaning, if you only have one path to get customers, your business is pretty decent. But if you have multiple ways that people come into your business, then your business becomes almost indestructible. And for a sales perspective, meaning when people want to go buy your business, that's what they look at. They want to look at how many different ways can people find your business and work with your business. And it's called a key channel risk. We reduce key channel risk. Does that make sense? So when it comes to selling a business, that's what they look for too. Referrals, which, referrals, hypothetically, you want to shoot for 20%. So 25% of your people should give you a referral after year 3 to 5. It's a stat that I found for the industry. The industry average is about 20 to 25% of your people should give you a referral after the initial 3 to 5 year, I guess, scale up point. Because in the beginning, nobody's gonna refer because it's new. But then as your business stabilizes, your percentage of referrals should go up. It's just common sense, But that's the percentage you want to look for. And then lastly, affiliate partnerships. So when you guys get to that next level where you've dialed in the first 4, then you can start looking for partnerships. I have more of you guys promoting for me. I have to do less. You guys picking up what I'm putting down there, guys? Because that's the basis by which you guys grow a company. More customers, lower churn.